Hi everybody. First, I want to thank everybody who looked my video and I read last chapters of the my God and Codex series books. And today I want to read a standalone book, first chapter of standalone book, The Dream of the Forest. This book is post-apocalyptic, natural post-apocalyptic adventure romance. So you can expect some romance, some adventures, some action, and many things in the book. Now I start to read first chapter of my book. Helen sat in the hospital waiting room with several couples. Sandy, a blonde nurse wearing a large name tag, entered every few minutes. One by one, she took each couple out of the waiting room. Soon Helen was alone. She sat for another 10 minutes before the nurse appeared again. She held a thin blue plastic clipboard with a piece of paper. Are you Miss Helen Horn? Yes, Helen answered quickly. The nurse turned and gestured her to sliding doors on opposite side of the waiting room. Please follow me. Helen hated sterility of the space. They entered a small atrium with gray plastic covered hallway floor. Fluorescent light illuminated the smooth floor. At its center's desk, where a dark-skinned nurse typed on a computer console. The woman didn't even glance at them when they entered. Sandy went straight to the other nurse. Rennie, I brought you another patient. Miss Holmes last for today. A severe expression Rennie took the paper and said, Dr. Fender asked for you. Sandy paled. When? Rennie barely paid attention to her and was already reading the paperwork. She waved a hand. A few minutes ago, he said, hurry. You know he doesn't like the wait. Sandy straight at her phone. I have walked right now. Cindy left and ran to the Helen. Sorry for the long wait. She turned to the opposite terminal and typed on the keyboard. One moment. I have to check your file. Which doctor are you seeing? Helen didn't understand. Only one doctor was supposed to treat her. I'm with Dr. Dent. Granny turned to her. Maybe before, but now you are with Dr. Hafner. Why was there a change? Helen was surprised. This is normal procedure in a case like this. What procedure? Dr. Room is 2445. He can explain everything. His office is behind the blue door at the end. You can miss it. Thanks. When she came to the door with number 2445, she knocked. She heard a muffled voice. Entered. Helen stepped inside and closed the door. Good afternoon, Dr. Hopner. Helen saw an ugly little man who used his forefinger to push his round glass up his nose. He studied the papers on his desk. He said, You have come to the right place. Please sit. Without a word, Helen sat on the drab white chair. She tried to hide her nervousness, which threatened to overwhelm her. The doctor looked at her over the bridge of his nose. He spitted through the round glass, assessed her, and said, Miss Helen Holmes. Yes. He continued with examination. You want permission for a child? Helen fidgeted in her seat. Yes, my partner and I submit the request. The doctor stared at her and continued. Where is your partner now? The question surprised her, but she answered. He has some urgent commitments. Commitments, you say? Helen straightened and uncomfortable chair. Dr. Hoffner ran a finger through his tiny hair and asked, Did he say anything about this issue? Helen leaned forward and said, yes, he was in the hospital yesterday and he signed all papers. He looked confusedly at Helen, then again at the table. He looked through the papers before him and muttered something under his breath. For a moment he studied Helen again. Well, there is something wrong here. I don't see his signature anywhere. When did he submit the request? Helen paused for a few moments, confused. Then she cleared her throat and asked, why is that important? Dr. Hoffner raised his chin. It is very important. It is essential. Your partner doesn't want to be a father. Helen felt the blow of light in her chest. You don't love her. Why would he do this to her? When she had pulled herself together, her voice trembled and she asked, please, we signed the papers together 6 months ago. It must be a mistake. Dr. Hoffman removed his glass and pulled the white handkerchief out of the drawer. He wiped them with it and then returned the glass to his nose. You signed those papers together, that is the truth. But the return 10 days after signing, your partner gave up on the fatherhood. Helen's face darkened. That isn't possible. Why would he even do that? If you don't believe me, look at this. The doctor turned the black folder to her and pushed it across the table. Her hand shook as she grabbed the file and read. At the bottom was Leon's signature. She had seen it 100 times on documents they have worked on together. She read over it again. Helen couldn't breathe, and her heart beat like drum. Why? Couldn't understand. He had signed at the bottom of the file. A tear trembled and threatened to fall as she returned to forward to the doctor. The whole body dropped, and her face pale as her feeling for Leon scattered into the dust and disbelief. The doctor looked at her with concern and asked, are you okay? When she nodded, he gave a self-satisfied nod. Okay. We need to know whatever your partner discussed this with you in the past 6 months. Helen closed her eyes and shook her head. No, I knew nothing. This is the first I'm hearing about it. The doctor didn't even blink as he concluded. This is most likely why the document weighs 6 months for proceeding in our archive. He was starting to get angry. She asked him louder than she intended. What do you mean by proceeding? In the case the hospital waits 6 months, if the consignator hasn't signed by the time the hospital moves forward with new arrangements. Helen leaned toward him and gripped the chair so tightly her finger turned white. Why was I not informed of this when we sang 6 months ago? The doctor stared forward on the table. He wouldn't look in her eyes as he continued. We haven't had such a case in the past. It is up to your partners. It's beyond our control. The hospital has waited for the deadline of 6 months. What deadline? Helen asked sharply. To sign the release document. The doctor swiftly pulled out another black folder from another drawer and pushed it toward her. Helen didn't look at it. I don't want Sank. I won't become mother. Her face flushed. The doctor rubbed his forehead with finger. He looked at Helen from the folder and said, I hate to have disappointed you. Why? Her furious glance made Dr. Hoffman fidget in his seat. With apparent nervousness, he leaned back and cleared his throat. Miss Holmes, we didn't invite you here to sign for motherhood. Quite opposite. Helen sprang to her feet. What? She couldn't understand how they could ask her to give up on everything she lived for. I will never give up on motherhood. Her voice became as cold as a glacier. If I stop now, I'll never be able to submit new application. I know you are familiar with my age, and you know I will soon be too old to conceive. How can you even ask that for me? The doctor folded his finger and leaned the elbows on the table. Miss Holmes, please do not force us to rest to litigation. We have a legal service that handle your case. He answered in a voice void of emotion. Helen pointed her forefinger at him. I'm a lawyer. This entire case will end up in the Supreme Court. The doctor flipped quickly through the few pages and said, Is this what you signed? Helen grabbed the phone and looked at the button when she saw two signatures. Yes, the signatures is mine. Please read what's written at the bottom of the last and only the mad paragraph. I hope that what I have said become clear to you. Helen read to the section through the file on the table. With these two paragraphs, the hospital had protected itself from any dispute. The fight in court was pointless. She looked at the doctor with wild gleam in her eyes, suppressed her anger, and asked wherefore I signed. The doctor gestured toward the paper. Please sign at the bottom of the third and fourth paragraph. While Helen signed, he took another document from the table. Please sign here to waive the judicial process. In an ice Helen snatched the document from his hand, deliberately read each paper word for word, and even turned one over to read it. And then she carefully signed each page, stuck them together, placed them in the floor folder, and flung everything into the face with a stiff smile. He blocked it with his hand. Paper flew all over the office. The doctor didn't say a word as he bent and collected. Helen ran out of the office and slammed the door. Furious doctor and nurse watched her flee. She ran to the hall with tears flowing her face. She thought about Leon and why he had done this. Not even 2 hours. Helen had enjoyed his touch. Helen paused and tried to calm down, but she couldn't. And screaming, Why didn't you tell me you didn't want a child? Damn you. And that is first chapter of my book. If you like adventure, romance, post-apocalyptic, stories happen on the earth, maybe you like my book. That is everything for today. Bye.